So we have Mike Barigian right here. How are you, Mike?
Doing well. Doing well. How are you, Gabe?
All right, brother. Man, I miss you. I haven't talked to you in a while, man.
Yeah, it's been a
We had some
year.
good times together. So can you tell people how we met? How did we first meet?
Well, actually, it was at the King County Detention Center in downtown Seattle, Washington. Must have been mid '90s.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. And so can you tell us, Mike, where were you born and where'd you grow up?
Well, I was actually born in Detroit, Michigan. I
Wow.
lived there for my first 16 years of my life and saw a lot in that time period. I was
Mhm.
there during the '67 riots downtown Detroit. A lot of gang members down there. Um, I was too young to really understand what was going on, but I do remember the police barricading roads and turning people away to go down, for curfew.
Mhm.
And in the background behind them, you can see homes burning. You can see just fires everywhere. It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. But I went to
Yeah.
school. I went to, well, grade school, elementary or middle school, and first year of high school in Warren, Michigan, which is just a little northeast of Detroit, I believe.
Okay.
And
Okay. Well, I know Detroit's always had a lot of gang activity. Of course, we had the Purple Gang there. I believe they were predominantly Jewish, but had other nationalities too. But that was one group, criminal group there, and I know they had a lot of black gangs there, and still do to this day. And so, then where did you go after Detroit after your teenage years?
well, actually, I finished off high school in Grand Junction, Colorado, of all places. from
Okay,
from Detroit to the countryside. That was a nice change.
I know that area very well. So,
Then moved down to Southern California, or actually um, South San Joaquin Valley area, the Bakersfield area.
okay,
I was living down in there. And from there, I came to Carson City, where I'm at right now. And from here, I went to Seattle. So,
gotcha, gotcha. And so then, when you went to Carson City, I understand you were employed with the Department of Corrections. Is that right?
yes, yeah, it was actually Department of Prisons at the time. And I was at the Nevada State Prison for about 4.5 years,
Hmm.
and was there during the Rodney King uprising in the early '90s,
Hmm.
and it was interesting times. Saw a lot of stuff come in and out of that prison. It was considered a close custody medium. That's I got there right around the time they had opened Ely, which is
Hmm.
now the state maximum security.
Right, right.
But at the Nevada State Prison, we actually had the gas chamber, and it was converted to lethal injection, I think. But we were right there. We had the death chamber there.
Hmm.
It was
And I'm sure they utilized it there in Nevada. Then back then, they didn't mess around there in Nevada. I heard that Nevada State Prison there in Carson City. I've heard from people that it's haunted. Did you have any like weird experiences while you're working there?
yeah, as a matter of fact, there's been a few different incidents. Um, I remember working on one post, which is basically up um, at the lower yard, and it was a gun post up on top of the perimeter or up on top of the wall. And that area was just, there was always movement going on up on top there. And I was actually just kind of doing my rounds, walking, checking everything out, and found an old relic from who knows when, and it was some buttons off of a uniform jacket, and it was pretty crazy. But I did work in the cell house, which was the main building at one time, and that's where the death chamber is.
Hmm.
And while I was working there one night, actually more than one night, but um, I'm guessing between 2 and 3 in the morning. I can hear like somebody trying to rattle the lock on the door on the main
Oh
corridor.
no.
Or
I'd have been
actually,
out of
it was the stairwell that went directly from my office up to the last night's cell.
Mm.
And I can hear the the Folger Atom lock wiggling like somebody was trying to open it. Nobody's up there. I was the only one up in that area at the time. And that
Man, brother, I would have freaked out.
got my attention, that's for sure.
I bet, man, oh man. Okay, um, then you worked how many years again now in Carson City at the Nevada State
But
Prison?
well, between the Carson City Sheriff's Department, I was a reserve there, and the state prison. And I also did a little bit of time with parole and probation
Hmm.
as a just while I was going to school.
Mhm.
And I'm going to guess probably 5.5 years total time.
Okay.
So, and then from there,
and then you went to Washington State, and where'd you work there first?
correct. When I first got up there, I went to work at the Washington State Reformatory in Monroe, Washington. I was there for a short time, then went to Twin Rivers, which is basically right next door.
Mhm.
That's where they have the sex offender treatment program.
Mhm.
And the reformatory was kind of like the way Nevada State Prison was, a real close custody medium.
Mhm.
And then from there, I hired on with King County, and that's where I went, primarily working in the jail in
Mhm.
downtown Seattle. So
Right. I remember you being in there in the booking area. I worked in classification at that time. I started off as an officer, but then I moved over to classification, and our offices were in the back side, and you were probably not even maybe 100 feet from me. Yeah, I'd
yeah,
see you every day back there, and I
yeah,
recall you making some pretty good busts down there on the detainees.
on a daily basis. On a daily basis, people
Yeah,
would come in. They'd have things hidden where you wouldn't even think you can hide.
right.
And anyway, I most of my retrieval of contraband, put it nicely, I guess, was in the intake prep area, which is an area where I would actually dress them out into a jail uniform
Hmm.
and take them up to the housing units, and that's where I found a lot of stuff. There was a lot of drugs were coming in.
Hmm. Well, I know
Just
you're good at your job, and that's why today I'm a supervisor. I won't mention the facility, but I'm a lieutenant supervisor, and I always try to tell my staff to make sure you use, safety and security measures. And these guys are carrying a lot of stuff. If you don't search them well, they know, and they can get away with it. And even if you search them well, they're going to try to hide stuff where the sun don't shine, as we say. But you could still seize a lot of stuff and prevent a lot of stuff coming in if you're on your job like you were, Mike.
yes,
Um,
sir.
you had a good reputation for doing that, and I think that's why supervisors kept you in that position. Do you remember encountering any gang members in Nevada, Washington D.O.C., or King County Jail? Did you run into gang members? You see like tattoos and stuff when you address them out?
Oh yeah, actually, most of the gang activity that I saw was in King County. I did see quite a bit in Nevada. That was what happened was is once they opened Ely, that was the maximum security. So they moved the maximum security inmates from Carson to Ely. Well, they filled Carson with the troubled children from Vegas, which were mostly gangbangers, and
Mhm.
they put them up in Carson City, and lots of gang activity. As much as nobody ever wanted to admit it, it
Mhm.
was there. And in fact, I had a sergeant that I worked side by side with. His name was Bill Valentine. The guy was amazing. He knew gang activity. He could spot it. He knew what to look for. I learned a lot from him, and I was
Right.
able to maintain that and took it with me to Washington.
Right.
And,
Well, that was kind of, I was going to say it's kind of a rhetorical question because I know a lot of times you would give me a heads up. Hey, Gabe, you might want to make sure when you classify this guy, look out for gang affiliation because you had spotted, him just covered in ink.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us, how did you meet Bill Valentine, and what was your experience in working with him? Can you tell us a little bit more about Bill?
Sure. Bill worked at the Nevada State Prison. He was a sergeant there when I hired on, and he was pretty much in running knew the gang activity, and so he was our go-to guy for any kind of questions we had. I learned quite a bit from him. He was like an walking encyclopedia of gang information, and he would show me what to look for, the kind of activities they would do on the yards, how they would react for different situations. Some of the OGs would literally cause a little bit of problem, like in usually October, November, so they could get rolled up for the winter, so they didn't have to walk down the main line to the chow hall, so they can get fed in their rooms. They would do that. But some of these guys, I mean, they would. I've had inmates tell me, "Hey, boss, don't come to work tomorrow. There's going to be a stabbing." And of course, I immediately reported that information, and they knew I would report it. And I'll tell you, respect is the big thing in there.
Right.
You want to make it through the day. You just don't disrespect them. I mean, You're still in control of what's going on. But I'll tell you, the gang activity, I mean, these guys, they would, you could tell a hot summer day, and Bill Valentine told me, just keep an eye on them. If they're going out to the yard on a 90-degree day and they've got their winter coats on that look like they're packing, well, they're packing with paperback books. They cut the linings of the coats, stuff them with these paperbacks, and there's going to be a shanking. And that's just how they did it. And another telltale.
They made their own body armor then.
They really did, yeah. And it was effective. I mean, it was effective even from us shooting at them with the bird shot, because it wouldn't penetrate those books. They knew what to do and how to do it. And I'll tell you, I mean, we didn't just arbitrarily shoot people, but you know what I'm saying, for any kind of fighting and stuff like that, or in this case, when there's a shanking going on or something. But another telltale sign Bill told me to watch out for was huge purchases of canteen or store. Mm-hmm. They would buy a lot of food because they knew there was going to be a lockdown after there was a fight or any kind of riot. And sure enough, boy, he was right on the money for that. But he would show me and explain to me about tattoos, and a lot of them, they write on the walls of their cells, and that's kind of how they tag their own area. Mm-hmm. So, and tagging is just basically putting their mark on the wall or mark on that area. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was interesting.
Well, as you know, I got to know Bill too. I was introduced to him through you, and we struck up quite a few conversations and communications, and I helped him out with his book. He helped me out with mine, Prison Gangs in America. So we know it's a small world. We know a lot of the same people. Yeah, and I know we still do. It's good to see you. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Well, if I recall, you were actually, if memory serves, you were actually at Folsom the same time I was at NSP.
That is correct. Yeah.
And, we actually, like you said, small world, we actually probably dealt with a lot of the same prisoners, a lot of the same bangers. They would go from San Francisco to Reno.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of times they'd send them out of state too. If they're too much of a problem, they do interstate compacts and try to get them out, but they just started problems somewhere else. In fact, we talked earlier about Richard Carmichael, who is presently in Nevada. I just looked him up today, got his new mugshot, and he was a problem in Nevada. Bill told me about him. They sent him up to Washington State. He was nothing but a thorn in our side up there as far as the founder of the Aryan Family, a white prison gang, a homegrown gang from Washington State that is active in other states now too. And yeah, he interacted with Aryan warriors as well as other Aryan groups. And he is now back down in Nevada, even though he's no longer the leader of the Aryan Family. Yeah, we run into the same people. You know, I know he was at Monroe for a while. He escaped from Monroe. I did a little video on that. His escape from, you know, on a medical transport. He set it up, like you said. These guys are very good at figuring out how to manipulate the system, and he set up a situation where he's going to be transported out on a medical, and that's where he made his escape with the assistance of some armed colleagues, peers. So yeah,
that's usually the ideal. The more an inmate's out on the road, the more likely there's going to be an escape.
Yeah,
if that's got it on
your
mind, that's where it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to say too. Now that you mentioned the Aryan brothers, we had groups of them down here, and you know, it's funny because you know how on the streets you've got the Bloods versus Crips fighting for territory on the street. In the prison system, they're on the same side, and they're fighting the Mexican mafia, the Aryan brothers, and whoever else. You know, it's just crazy how the chain of events that happen while they're in prison.
Yeah, it is crazy. One more story that I remember now that Bill told me about, this Richard Carmichael, while he was housed in Nevada before he was shipped to Washington, he got a TV sent in, and you know how they have the seals and stuff, so it's supposed to be not messed with, to make sure that nobody on the outside has shipped him something. And Bill told me he plugged it in and started sparking. They opened it up, there was a gun in there. So this Richard Carmichael also escaped from, I can't remember exactly how, I'll have to look that up again, but escaped in Nevada, killed some people, and then also got involved in some crimes up in Washington. So he did his time up in Washington State for the things he did up there, and then is now currently, I believe, doing time for the murders he committed while he escaped from Nevada. So crazy, you know, how these guys come around, how we run into the same criminals, we know the same people, you and I, you know, Bill, other individuals that we've, you know, worked with over the years. And it's good to see you, man. Good to see that you're still around. And if you're ever in Hawaii, man, look me up, brother. I know you probably like to go to Maui, but hey, you know, try the Big Island, man. We got a place for you over there, brother.
Well, I'll head out there definitely.
All right.
I'm getting a little crazy with the heat around here in Nevada.
Oh man, I tell you, I was out at Alki yesterday with the grandchildren. Man, it was over 90 degrees. It was feeling like Hawaii, but yeah, I'd rather be back over there right now, man.
I'm just glad I'm not in Vegas. It's like 118 down there today.
Oh no, that's
like,
too hot.
No, thanks. I mean,
that's
95
falling out weather.
Yeah, 95 and 100 is bad enough here, but 118, no thanks.
Okay, brother. Well, you take care of yourself, man. Good talking to you.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you. Anytime, man. I enjoy your company. I enjoy talking to you, man. You're just loaded with knowledge, man.
All right, brother. Thank you. Take care.
All right. You bet.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.